now.
Meeting is being recorded.
Would everyone take themselves off their video, please? Okay, Jojo, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, wonderful.
I'm just trying to mute people's videos and stuff.
Okay,
So
wonderful.
go for it.
Wonderful. Well, coincidentally, February 17th is Kindness Day in Solana Beach. Just a marvelous program, needed at any time, but so welcome during this just oppressive period of back and forth on COVID issues. So on this Kindness Day, we are absolutely delighted to welcome Greg, our city manager, to give us an update on what has been happening over the 2 years we haven't been able to hear him in person at one of our meetings. And we're also very happy to welcome our mayor, and I see Christy Becker and Kelly Harless. So thank you, city council members, for joining us. Judy Hagenauer is also with us. So Greg, without further ado, and thanking you for carving out this time to give us what we know will be a fascinating lunch and learn program, over to you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Carol, and it's good to see faces again. This has been something I've looked forward to in years past, and it's nice to get back to you guys. And I will forewarn you that this is a lengthy presentation, so I'm going to zip through it rather quickly so as to give some time for questions. I'll go ahead and start sharing my screen. Hopefully you can see that. Oops, and now, do you still see that? Oh, I guess when I
Yes.
Okay. So this is really an overview of the work plan for the current fiscal year. And so I've tried to put as much in it as I can that I think will be of interest. It's structured in the various chapters of the work plan, starting with community character priorities. We're working on an update to our housing element. It has been approved by our council last April. And the regional housing needs assessment identified 875 units for this city. Believe it or not, the prior housing element only identified 300 and I believe 50 units. So more than a doubling of projected units, with which we and 3 other cities, Imperial Beach, Lemon Grove, and Coronado, took exception. We challenged that at Sandag, or appealed it rather, and it was denied. And there is ongoing litigation, by the way, on that determination that in the exercise of their weighted vote at Sandag, they implemented a quasi-judicial proceeding that should have been done on a tally vote, in which case our appeals would have been granted by a vote of, I believe, if memory serves, something on the order of 13-6 throughout the county. But with the weighted vote, we lost, I think, 51.4% of the vote went against the appeals. In any event, we are also updating our safety element as part of this update. And the current status is we received feedback from state HCD, Housing and Community Development, excuse me. And we are waiting to hear back. They are actively working on our housing element, and our hope is that it will be approved. Each year, we also engage in a significant legislative monitoring process at the direction of council. We engage with lobbyists in California. There are several bills that were passed in the last legislative cycle, SB 9, SB 478, and AB 215 among them on with respect to housing that we are carefully monitoring. I'm sure you may have heard that Senate Bill 9, which was approved and went into effect as of January 1st, requires the ministerial approval, meaning building permit approval only for housing development containing 2 units in a single family lot. It also requires administrative or ministerial approval of subdivision of a single family lot into 2 separate lots, which could yield up to 4 units on what was formerly a single family lot. We adopted a local ordinance as it allowed under Senate Bill 9 back in December. And I wanted to advise the group that there is an initiative, a constitutional amendment initiative called Our Neighborhood Voices that is underway right now, looking to get onto the November ballot. So the ordinance that we adopted primarily is tailored towards trying to provide some reasonable development of property under SB 9, but primarily focused on what would be more affordable housing, because currently SB 9 does not provide for or specifically provide for affordable housing. We are underway with our redistricting process. It's a requirement following a decennial census, and so that's actively underway. The elections code requires at least 4 public meetings, 2 of which have been held already. I wanted to announce here, and there will be an e-blast going out, that we had planned our next meeting, our public meeting for next week, Wednesday's council meeting on the 23rd. That has been postponed to Wednesday, March 9th. It's going to be a special meeting at 5 p.m. So that will happen again on March 9th. And then following meeting is scheduled for March 23rd at the council meeting. For those interested, our city's website has a page dedicated to this effort, a redistricting page with the information there, including maps that have been submitted by the public. Getting into some of the projects, the Loma Santa Fe Corridor project, I'm sure is a project many of you are familiar with. We completed phase 3, which is the design and construction bid documents. We're pursuing grant funding for construction. Key design element of this, which a lot of you weighed in on, is a multi-use path akin to the Coastal Rail Trail on the north side of Loma Santa Fe. It started just on the east of I-5 section of this project, and it was such a desirable element of the project that many people weighed in and said, hey, let's try to get this multi-use path all the way to the coast on the west side of I-5 as well. Happy to say we were able to accomplish that, and we completed this effort most recently was done with a $616,000 grant from Sandag, and we submitted the documents by the January 4th, 2022 grant deadline. So we're actively seeking funding. Here's an overview of that element I just talked about. You can see here's Loma Santa Fe at Santa Helena. And it's not going to look like this with the dotted line. This is just to show you where that multi-use path is. And here's a cross section of it, the existing cross section today. This happens to be in an area just west of Santa Helena where there's a steep grade elevation here change. And this would be where we need a retaining wall constructed. We have been working with the HOA up here about that. And this shows the slight narrowing of the travel lanes. You'd still have on-street bike lanes. We'd have a sidewalk on the left side the south side of the street, and then this multi-use path. Moving to the west side, and it was pretty tricky trying to squeeze a lot of this in, but you can see here on the north side, it's not as well delineated as the multi-use path approaching El Viento. Right here is where we have a very tricky area to navigate, and you can see the cross section of that area where it's going to be a 15.5-foot wide area with a 12.5-foot wide multi-use path, and then the travel lanes narrowed to calm traffic, provide a multimodal transit corridor and pedestrian corridor and bike bicycling corridor to improve safety within Loma Santa Fe. And as I said, we're actively seeking funding. The mayor and I have met with Representative Levin's office about potentially getting some funding through the Infrastructure Act that was recently bipartisan approval received. And so stay tuned for that. Another project that we're looking at on the east side of I-5 is the Santa Helena Neighborhood Trail. I'm sure you know from the area north of Sun Valley, there's a lot of excess right-of-way there. It was once designed as a collector to one day go across the lagoon, which is of course not happening. So the idea is to take over that right-of-way, decrease the width of the pavement, and add a neighborhood trail amenity on either side of the corridor. We held a workshop on October 25th of last year to receive feedback, and we're preparing an updated design drawings for that to present back to council. And we also are looking at funding opportunities. This is a little sketch here. Here on the left, you have Sun Valley. To my right is the north. This is Santa Victoria. And so the idea is to take over this existing right-of-way, narrow it, the roadway down. It'll still be one lane in each direction, and create a neighborhood pathway, meandering pathway on the east side of Santa Helena in this location. And then once you cross Santa Victoria, it would be on the west side, and then create a trail connection into what is currently the trail access to San Alejo Lagoon area. So that's the concept right now. And as I said, we're developing that further. Another project we're looking at is the Fletcher Cove Marine Safety Center. We've done a feasibility analysis. We've come up with a preliminary site design and building design. We're working on engineering and other design elements. We are also going to be putting in story poles so the community can get an idea of what this might look like from a scale standpoint. And we'll be looking at environmental clearances, as well as working with the Coastal Commission on a submittal of a coastal development permit. Here's a site plan looking the beaches to the left. This is kind of the structure would be, we're trying to tuck it back into this slope here to preserve view corridors. This is the existing faux boardwalk that comes out to the overlook. And then this is a rendering of the design from above, and then looking from the park. The idea was in order to get the operational needs for the lifeguards, as well as updating the facilities to meet modern standards, the idea was to try to make this second element transparent, so there'd be some see-through ability to look through that. And again, we will be installing story poles relatively soon here for that project. Another project along the coast is our regional beach replenishment program, or sorry, our Army Corps beach program that we've been working on with Encinitas for some time now. But we also have a opportunistic program under which we had the developer Zephyr at the Solana 101 project put 22,000 cubic yards of sand on the beach, which went as well as we could have hoped in terms of minimizing impact to the community and to Fletcher Cove. The other project I mentioned, this long-term project with Encinitas, we, with the support of Representative Levin, have been able to secure funding, complete funding for project or pre-construction engineering and design of $1.9 million in funding for the next for these 2 fiscal years. We also, again, with Congressman Levin as well as Senator Feinstein's support, have $30.5 million in the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act identified for initial construction. That is huge, obviously. As well as the governor's proposed budget, for the first time in many years, has money allocated to the Public Beach Restoration Fund. And for our project, they've identified $11.5 million to be used for a local share towards that larger federal investment. So good news on that front. We're expecting PED, as it's called, to be done probably the end of 2023, with potential construction shortly thereafter. There are many projects in Fletcher Cove that we're working on. One is the tot lot renovation. We're underway with design of that. We've engaged the community for input there. look for us to come back to council soon, or to the community soon, with design proposals for the Fletcher Cove. We're looking at refurbishing still some more of the Fletcher Cove Community Center, and then surface improvements in Fletcher Cove, including the boardwalk, the ramp, and other sidewalk and concrete repairs. Another tot lot we've been actively working on is in Colonia Park. These two projects are being worked on concurrently. We have a grant from the state of about $187,000 to reconstruct that tot lot in Colonia Park. So that's actively ongoing. And again, we'll be coming back to the community to show the idea that we've come up with our consultants. We are also going to be moving forward on an update of the master plan for that park. And as soon as actually this next council meeting, we'll be providing an update to council on using our consultant to update the master plan, included among which is the consideration of the Stevens Avenue property, the vacant property the city acquired to incorporate into the park. So that will be part of the process. Another park space amenity we've been working on is the Glenmont Pocket Park over at Lyric Reservoir. We had a meeting at the council on January 26th to give an update to council and to the community. Council asked staff to pursue a passive park concept on this location. There's active engagement ongoing with Santa Fe Irrigation District staff. It is their property. This is an idea that's been in the minds of our city for some time. We will be doing permitting, CEQA analysis, and then working with the engagement process with the community on this park concept. And then it'll require approval both by the Santa Fe Irrigation District Board as well as our council. There'll have to be a licensing agreement that we will engage or execute with SFID. I will note that there is a pipeline replacement project that Santa Fe Irrigation is working on in this neighborhood that going to and from the Lyric Reservoir. There are 3 main pipelines in the roadways there, that 2 of which are being replaced and 1 of which is being updated. That will result in construction activity in or around El Viento, Glenmont, Granados, and Cliff Street to the Lyric Reservoir. So that is going to have a little bit of, well, it'll have an impact to that neighborhood. So I just wanted to point that out, and that has to take place before we can initiate any active work on this park of park. So we are working on that, and stay tuned for the next outreach effort. This is just giving you an idea of the area of the Lyric Reservoir. This is the reservoir, Glenmont Park, and this is the area we worked with Santa Fe Irrigation to identify as this park space. And again, we will be coming out to the community to engage you on that park. A key element that many of you on this call have pushed for is a pollinator garden as part of this park, and that's something we've been working with the seaweeders and others on our CRT as well as at Colonia Park. One of the things we've been doing quite a bit of is assisting neighborhoods throughout our community with traffic calming. The council adopted a policy for speed cushions. Speed cushions are specifically designed to allow public safety vehicles, fire engines, and ambulances to straddle the middle speed bump or cushion with 2 cushions on either side for calming traffic. We are implementing 2 with our annual street paving project on South Cedros between Marcelon and Cove Fair. We've recently put one in on Highland over there near San Lucas on the east side of I-5. And we are processing requests right now for South Sierra, which received support from our city council at their last meeting, as well as San Mario. And then other traffic calming project we're working on with our staff and the community is Santa Helena, which also was discussed at our last council meeting. So we're going to be implementing those with the street paving project I'll talk about in a second here, which is coming up right here. We have our annual street paving project that's underway. Then Deputy Mayor Becker. By the way, I wanted to thank Mayor Huebner and Deputy Mayor Harless and Councilmember Becker for being on the meeting. I don't know if any other of our council members have joined us, but Councilmember Becker requested an additional 200,000 to fund this project to get more streets done. So that's something that was supported unanimously by council. We are working actively on a variety of stormwater and sewer projects again this year. We're underway on a Safe Routes to School master plan that is going to improve walkability, bikeability for students going to and from schools within our city. And then, of course, we're constantly working on our pedestrian signalization. You may have seen some of this along Loma Santa Fe at Cedros and Nardo El Viento, where we've implemented an advanced pedestrian signal to get pedestrians to safely cross the street prior to vehicles entering the intersection. And then, of course, we're working on our temporary public arts program. So let me highlight some of this. This is our map of the street improvement project for this year. In the orange color, you'll see, sorry, the blue, the kind of light blue color. Those are the streets that we initially had in the budget. A major effort on Santa Helena between Sun Valley and Santa Rosita, and then Lirio Street over there. You see just west of Nardo. With the additional budget, the orange streets have been added to the project. And you can also see that, as I mentioned, the 2 speed cushions will be added as part of this project. So we'll be able to do quite a bit more with that added funding. These are the temporary public art pieces that have been installed. This is on the Seascape Sur Beach access, calling for all old souls. The Tide Park beach access, Rio. The median in front of Skyline on Loma Santa Fe, Calliope, and the Peace Arrow installation on San Rodolfo at the Solana Beach Town Center West. Oops, I think I went too far. A couple projects of note. Obviously, you're, I'm sure, well aware of the Solana 101 project under construction, coming out of the ground, framing and concrete work. We have the Solana Highlands project DRP modifications going to council on March 9th. And recently the Ocean Ranch subdivision off Nardo was approved back in June. So we're working with the applicant on that project. At the request of members, many of you whom are on this call, the council has directed us to do some enhanced maintenance work on the Coastal Rail Trail. That effort is ongoing. And recently, we've engaged with the San Diego Foundation to implement an age-friendly community action plan. And the objective here is to create a more livable community for people of all ages. So look for some of that work to begin soon. The North Coastal Corridor project, not yesterday, I'm sorry. The mayor participated in the grand opening ceremony on Tuesday for the high occupancy vehicle lanes. So notable achievement there. The pedestrian bridge access across the lagoon is under construction. It's quite an involved effort, I will say. We're looking at that to complete sometime in March and open to bicycle and pedestrian traffic in March or April. So keep your fingers crossed that that they'll hit that deadline. The park and ride is on a little bit of a later schedule. There are some construction trailers there. And so those are anticipated to be, I don't know if that's made that timeline. I didn't update that. I think there's still some there, but the traffic is the project, the park and ride is supposed to open at the end of this calendar year. And it's a key point because we do have some concern with a lot of activity for the trails, which are now beautifully enhanced, but become quite popular. And there's a lot of neighborhood parking in Rios, North Rios. And our hope is that once the park and ride is completed, it's a lot quicker walk across that bridge to Annie's Canyon and the Mushroom Caves and those places. So our hope is that that can get done very soon. On the organizational effectiveness priorities, we've been working on a number of systems upgrades on our permit tracking software, our financial software we're implementing right now. We've really enhanced our cybersecurity for obvious reasons. And of particular importance, our new website is underway, and we're very hopeful to have that launched in the next month or so. So that is an item that our council has put a high priority on. Looking at environmental sustainability, we recently adopted, or council rather, adopted a building electrification and solar panel ordinance that was done in December of last year. We'll be updating our climate action plan we are actively working on it actually. We're working on increasing our recycled water infrastructure support through San Alejo JPA. We are still providing outreach and education. We're going to be actually updating this, especially on the heels, hopefully, of the pandemic, during which some of this was relaxed, unfortunately, but educating or re-educating our businesses and the public about our plastic use restrictions or regulations. And then looking at really significantly upgrading expanding our EV infrastructure, as well as incentives, working with HOAs and at city locations as well. And then, of course, Senate Bill 1383, the organic waste ordinance implementation, is well underway throughout the city. Clean Energy Alliance, that obviously, as I'm sure you know, was launched in May of last year. And it started with the cities of Del Mar, Solana Beach, and Carlsbad. All three agencies have selected the same default product that Solana Energy Alliance had as the default, the 50% renewable and 75% greenhouse gas free product. We do have three levels. There's one below that, a 50% renewable, and then there's an opt up to 100% renewable. And I'm happy to report that our council directed staff to opt up all our municipal accounts to 100% renewable shortly after launch. So that has happened. And then the other good news, and much thanks to our chair of the Clean Energy Alliance, Christy Becker, as well as Mayor Hebner, for really kind of spearheading the effort to reach out to neighboring cities to join us. And that was a successful effort in getting Escondido and San Marcos to officially join CEA at the end of last year, with the intent to serve energy to their customers beginning in early 2023. We're still actively, and by we I mean the cities, the agencies of CEA, working with the cities of Oceanside, Vista, and San Clemente as the possibility to include them as well. Just a little bit on fiscal sustainability. The two-year budget was adopted. We're in the first of the two-year budget cycle right now. This shows you our general fund revenue projection for this fiscal year of 22.7 million, with a general fund expenditures of 21.1. So there's a nice cushion in there. And then in fiscal 22-23, 22.1 million in expenditures, or revenues rather, and expenditures of 21.3 million. We are going to council, anticipated at this point at March 9th, for mid-year budget adjustments. These numbers will change slightly, but there is some buffer in there, as you can see, with a lot of belt tightening and hard work by our staff, as well as with guidance from the Budget and Finance Commission. And then we will be starting the work plan process for the next work plan year. Fiscal 23 begins in March. So we'll be going to council with recommendations and from council members as to priorities for the next fiscal year. One of the things that we're constantly working on is to keep an eye on and manage our pension liability. This council approved a PARS trust fund in October of 2015. It was a great time to have done that. Since that inception of that trust fund, which can only be used for pension purposes, council has appropriated a total of just over $4 million for pension and other post-employment benefit liabilities. And the value of that trust fund at the end of the calendar year was just over 5.2 million. So a really good investment. This trust fund allows you under an IRS exemption to be a little bit more aggressive than standard governmental fund requirements, and it really provides a better return, and it's done very well. And our Budget and Finance Commission is wholly in support of this, and quite encouraged by the performance of this trust fund. Community events, to the fun stuff. Fiesta del Sol returns this year. That's the plan for Saturday and Sunday, May 21st and 22nd. Concerts at the Cove, the full schedule will return, with the first concert expected to be on Thursday, June 23rd. And the City Hall Art Gallery is going to reopen in or around April. We've been doing some updates. This pandemic has, to some extent, given us the ability to do some upgrades to council chambers as well as the art gallery. And so that's ongoing and nearly completed. So that's exciting. Some days that we are frequently asked about: curbside or bulky item cleanup days. The curbside pickup is going to happen on Saturday, May 14th. There's the vital information. We, of course, will send out e-blasts about this stuff, but you can put, have curbside pickup if you call EDCO in advance. You have to have it out by 7 a.m. of that day. And then, of course, the bulky item drop-off day at Colonia Park on October 1st. And that is includes e-waste disposal, paper shredding, and free mulch. So some dates to put on your calendar: May 14th and October 1st. And I've managed to get through this whole report without mentioning COVID. Well, I think I mentioned COVID. I mentioned the pandemic. I'm happy to report that it looks like the Omicron surge has peaked and is now waning, but it was quite a peak. Solana Beach is up to 1,519 cases. We had about 700 cases in October, just above 700. So we had 172 cases in 1 week during mid-January of the Omicron surge. And just for kind of order of magnitude, since December 22nd, we've seen 40% of all the cases be recorded in Solana Beach in that time frame. So that's quite a surge. Again, the good news is it's waning. Case numbers, hospitalizations, ICU patients are decreasing quite rapidly. But I will say that community outbreaks are still quite high. So something to keep in mind. And that concludes my presentation. I feel like I've been talking for longer than 25 or 30 minutes, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Greg, thank you so much. And I'll start off the comment section by simply saying, we know that we have a wonderful city council, but your slide after slide of projects and activities is absolutely overwhelming. So on behalf of all of us on this call, and I think everyone in the city, thank you to you and the city council and your staff for all of the incredible, consistent work you do. It is just so impressive. And we see the results every day, and we're delighted.
Actually, Greg, can we get you to not have your presentation full for us so we can have, there we go. Thank you.
Okay.
And Carol will moderate. If you have a question, please put it into chat and Carol will moderate this section. Thank you.
Yeah, Greg, there were several comments about being disappointed that roundabouts were dropped off the Loma Santa Fe redesign. Any possibility of a relook at that?
That's a good question, and I will say that yes, that was we received extensive. Well, I'll just say what it was. It was opposition from the neighborhoods on the east side that were very concerned about the potential impacts to traffic, particularly peak hour traffic. Our council made the decision that in response to that pretty, I guess, vocal opposition to remove those, maintain four lanes of traffic in each direction. Sorry, 2 lanes in each direction, 4 lanes total. I don't anticipate that the project will likely see that. In fact, it's been designed, it's been submitted to Sandag, so it is not likely that we'll see roundabouts come back into that project. Could they be in another area of town? That's a question that I will leave for another project. But at this point, I don't see that being modified. Again, the design work is complete. The grant application work has been completed.
Okay, thank you. The next question relates to the senior living project that was not accepted. And the general comment was reasonable senior housing is critical everywhere, including in Solana Beach. Is there any possibility that that is a kind of residential facility that might at some point, perhaps with a different design, find a place in Solana Beach?
So a couple of things. Another great question. I should have highlighted that the Solana Highlands project, which is going again to council on March 9th, proposes 260 units of residential. There's currently 194 units in that apartment complex, 198 total units at that site. So it would be going to 260 units total, 32 of which will be affordable senior housing. So there'll be a 32 unit senior housing project as part of that development. So that's one thing. And the immediate response to that question is there will be additional senior housing provided with that project. And they're looking to break ground. You know, these things take time. It's a large project in about a year from now. So about this time, March of 2023. With respect to the Genevieve project, yes, that initiative did fail, that ballot measure. The developer or the proponent of that measure still very much is interested in doing something there. And we've been working with them in terms of exploring what options there might be. It's hard to see an option that would not require another proposition, a ballot initiative. However, there is the potential for that type of facility. And to be clear, this was a memory care facility for approximately 90 beds, I suppose. So we are working with that applicant, but at this point, I can't say that it will happen. But they are very much interested in seeing something happen.
Okay, thank you. Question about the gardening in the city. The rail trail is just looking fabulous, but can you talk about how the city monitors herbicide, pesticide use in public places? Is there attention to environmentally safer herbicides, pesticides, considering
Yes.
small children, dogs, etc.?
There absolutely is. We do not use toxic herbicides and insecticides on our public parks. We use a mixture, an organic mixture. I will say it may not be as effective to some degree, but we do use that. And we have really expanded, especially on the Coastal Rail Trail, the physical addressing of weeds and other unwanted growth in that area. But we do have a policy where we do not use toxic insecticides or herbicides. It's all organic.
So good to know that. Is there?
By the way, Mo Somick, our public works director, affectionately calls it salad dressing. Because it is a mixture of vinegar and salt and some other ingredients that some might consider savory, I guess.
It's almost as safe as salad dressing. Okay, we'll
Right,
keep that in mind as we look at the beautiful landscaping in Solana Beach. The next question relates to dogs, and it is there any support for an off-leash dog park somewhere in the city, perhaps at La Colonia?
So I won't, obviously that's a policy decision of the council and I don't want to get out in front of them. What I will say is that we routinely hear from members of the community who would like to see something like that. And not necessarily specific to La Colonia, but whether it can be accommodated anywhere in the city. They can be challenging, I will say that, but it's really a matter of if that is an interest, how well it's put forward. And as I mentioned, there are some engagement efforts underway. And whether or not that receives support from the council is really up to the council to decide.
Understood.
Yeah, and as I said, we do receive comments about that. They're not unusual for us to get anytime we talk about park space, at least one or two comments about, hey, what about an off-leash dog park? So that is not uncommon.
So it's in the consideration set, but nothing immediate.
That's correct.
Good. And we're asked to consider a walk on the north part of the rail trail and keep your eyes out for the kindness rocks, which have been placed really over the last 6 or 8 months, but more so in recently because of the February 17th Kindness Day in the city. So as you walk the rail trail, just smile when you see those rocks that have been planted to remind all of us, to the extent we need reminding, that this is an amazing city. It's full of wonderful people doing just some extraordinary work to make this the best of possible places for all of us, each in our own way, yes, but just a wonderful visual outreach. Greg, I don't have any more questions except we've got the final comments, and I will add mine just simply to say, fabulous presentation. And again, we are all so deeply grateful to you and our city council for the care, the attention, the work, the accomplishments, the dedication to your work. We are a community that everyone has to look at with real admiration, if not downright envy, because of everything that has been accomplished thanks to a consistent leadership guidance from the city council. And to the extent we as citizens can help the city on anything, I mean, yes, we get involved in commenting on specific projects, but remember, you've got a group of ready, willing, and able citizens. So keep us in mind if you need to send out a call on any community project.
Great, thank you. And I just wanted to finish by saying thank you for those kind words. And I want to thank our city council as well. They've been exceptionally, supportive of staff and of me. And I will say this, that to your point, Carol, they are overwhelmingly accessible to all of you, and they frequently pass along your comments or concerns to me. And the benefit of a small city, and I've always said this, is we get a lot of comments from people coming directly from council, but the benefit is you have that access to those members, and we can hopefully respond as quickly as possible. So thanks to the city council and to all of you as well, this kind of relationship exists. So thank you to the mayor and Deputy Mayor Harless and Christy Becker. And I think those are the three here today. I don't know if Lisa, Mayor Hebner, if you wanted to say anything, but I wanted to give you that chance.
Thanks so much. And thanks to you all. Yeah, I appreciate this wonderful presentation, Greg. You really presented our work plan very, very thoroughly, which you always do, and explain great details to people in a way that's understandable, because there's a lot of bureaucracy behind some of these programs when it comes to grants and funding, et cetera, et cetera. And you don't all have to know, we don't all have to know that. We know that we've got it in good hands with our city staff. So we thank you. We thank our community very much. In fact, I was on the rail trail this morning and yesterday and noticed the sign and the rocks and appreciated them. Remember, it is Kindness Day today, and we've been encouraged through our e-blast and our subcommittee of kindness folks, Christine Schindler is one of them, to pay it forward today and every day. A kindness act is really contagious. So let's think about that today. And I'd also just like to take a moment to keep Councilmember Zito and his family in our prayers.
Yes.
And please note, yes, there was a comment. We will put this up on our Historical Society website right following this meeting and the next hour.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you, City Council. And we really appreciate this. And this afternoon, Lisa, we will take up your invitation to spread kindness forward. And not just today.
Yes. Let's make it a habit, right?
It's an excellent habit. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today, and we will keep you informed about our program coming up next month.
Thank you. Thanks again for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks. Bye-bye, everybody.